Welcome to Healing Powers TV. I'm your host, Laura Powers, and I'm here live on location at Journeys for Conscious Living in Arvada, Colorado. And I'm here with Gerri Kier. We're here to talk about organic food. And Gerri, can you just tell me your title again?
A certified natural health provider
Thank you.
and a certified digestive enzyme specialist.
Thank you. And
Yes.
Gerri knows so much about organic food, which is why I asked her to talk about this today, because I think there's a lot of information that people at home don't know about organic and why it's really important to eat organic food, and specifically what things are important to eat organic.
Right.
So
Exactly.
thanks for being on the show. And I know you wanted to start by talking about what got you into this, because it's an interesting story.
Yes, so my journey of health and wellness and healing started essentially 9 years ago. I was a wedding photographer and I had my photo studio for 22 years. So the studio was rocking along, doing great, and all of a sudden I had a tremor. Got this tremor in my hand, could no longer hold the camera steady. People weren't buying it, that it was soft focus. No, it was just out of focus.
Oh.
So
no.
I had to find an alternative. I started taking a nutritional product, and in 22 days, the tremor was gone.
Wow.
So started the process of what is glutathione, which is your master antioxidant system in your body, but what's glutathione and what is happening in my body by building it. That through that process, I also realized that not all food that you eat literally is nutritious and good for you. It can actually hurt you. So started the path of helping people heal with food and nutrients, and getting into back to the basics of organic food and back to eating food the way God intended us to eat it, not processed. So
I think this is so fascinating because I talk to so many healers and various modalities, and so many people have a very personal healing journey. In fact, that's almost everyone has that, where they personally were sick and then they got into whatever it is that they currently now do because of that.
Exactly.
And I think that's a real testament to what all these people are doing.
It works.
Yeah.
If you get your life back, you tell people
Yeah.
how they can get their life back. So, yes, so that's kind of my journey. And, I grew up on a farm in northeastern Colorado. I'm a Colorado native. I grew up eating organic. And so still to this day, we grow our own garden and can our own fruits and vegetables, our meat. We process everything ourselves. So still living that way now. Went away from it, went down the whole convenience world,
Right.
which cost me my business. So I tell clients, they're like, oh, organic is so expensive. I said, no, unemployment is very expensive. Being sick is very expensive. So what price?
Right.
What price will you pay? Will you pay gradually at the check stand to maintain proper health and be nutritious, get proper nutrition to have really good health into your 70s, 80s, and 90s, being out hiking mountains and enjoying the Colorado mountains, or be sick like I was at 40 years old. And
yeah, I think it's one of those questions, are you paying for it in the front end or the back end? Like, because somehow you're going to, have to pay for it, but hopefully it's more in the beginning, and then you have a healthy lifestyle.
Exactly.
So this is a great segue, actually. So I'd like to talk about what organic means, because I think it's something that's kind of snuck up on us in our society. There have been a lot of major changes in how food is processed that people aren't aware of. So we grew up, our parents grew up and everything just was that way.
Right.
And then now all of a sudden there's these huge changes, and, an orange is no longer just an orange. So
That's correct.
without more information, if you could just help us understand that.
Okay, so organic, certified organic, is literally a monitored food source. It really is monitored. The USDA has contracted with subcontractors who go and pop in on certified organic growers, manufacturers, and food producers. And once they have passed the test, they have to be certified organic for 3 years before they can actually put certified organic on the packaging. So I did bring some samples of some food that have the certified organic mark on it. And
Yeah,
like-
because if it doesn't have the certified organic, it doesn't necessarily
Right.
mean that much. Is that correct?
natural means nothing because natural is not monitored.
Right.
And a lot of times as people are in the process of becoming organic, they are monitored or considered as natural because they're
okay.
not using chemicals. So certified organic literally has no chemicals, no genetically modified, no irradiation. It is with compost growing, and so it literally is a clean food. It has not been contaminated with any kind of petrochemical chemicals on it at all. But when you're looking, the USDA certification tag that's on it, that is not required. But when they go through the certified organic process, they are so more than happy to put the USDA emblem on their packaging. But where you will find it is on the back under the address, there will be a specific of which organization that's contracted by the USDA has actually been the ones to approve them.
Okay.
So then there will be this organization like the Washington Organic Growers approve that, but then it'll have the USDA label. Now, if it's 70% organic or less, then there will not be an certified organic, even though you look at the ingredients, but 70% of the ingredient list is not organic. It cannot be called certified organic, okay? So, but you look at the ingredients, and the majority of the ingredients are organic,
Right.
but only 70% or less organic.
Right.
And so it's not the full, 95 or 99%.
Okay. So it's better than conventional, but it's just not
Exactly.
100%.
There are, like in this product, there are only 2 items, and it's the first 2 items, pineapple and papaya, which are not organic. And so because of those 2 items, it cannot be called certified organic. But in this package, so this is from the same food manufacturer, this is certified organic. And everything on the back is organic listed, and then it also has the emblem of the company that did approve it as organic. So that's on the packaged food. On your fruits and vegetables, you definitely want to be buying organic. This is a conventional. Okay, so conventional means it has been grown with chemicals. It has been irradiated to protect you from bacteria and organisms that could be in it. In the irradiation process, nutrients are compromised. And the conventional process, let me just read here what can actually go into, and this is an actual definition of conventional food.
Okay.
Okay? Large conventional farmers produce food with varying levels of chemical fertilizers to promote plant growth, spray insecticides to reduce pests and disease, use chemical herbicides to manage weeds, give antibiotics, growth hormones, and medications to animals in effort to prevent disease and spur quicker growth. That's conventional.
Okay.
Okay, so here's a conventional grapefruit. This one was purchased in 2004. It has no nutritional value, I'm just thinking. Okay, and then this is an organic grapefruit, and it was bought April the 9th of 2011. It is turning liquid. It is decomposing as should, because there have been no chemicals on it, has not been irradiated. This is food. This contains fiber. This contains nutrients
Right.
with fiber. So this is whole food. Your food should decompose on your counter. That's how it's, when anything falls off of a tree, it turns into liquid and goes back into the earth. So that's whole food.
And so the reason that this is basically desiccated is the radiation process.
The irradiation process, exactly.
Okay.
If your fruit in 1 month looks the exact same as it did the day you bought it, it's probably not food. Okay, so how do you know that you have good food and bad food in your
Right.
produce section? I went today and I purchased 2 Fuji apples,
Okay.
okay? And here is the conventional, and here's the organic. They look relatively the same. How do you know? The conventional number on it, so the UPC number,
Which is on the
okay?
little sticker.
The
That's always-
sticker
Mhm.
that's on your produce. The UPC number is 4131. That's what the checker puts in to the check stand when it's being weighed. The organic is 94131. So organics start with a number 9. So that way you know this apple has not had any chemical on it, has not been irradiated. It is truly whole food. You will digest it properly.
Right.
Digestion issues are a problem when you're eating conventional foods. The body can't recognize it because it can't digest it.
This is really handy because I've had that problem where at the store and they put them right next to each other, and then you're like, wait, is this piece actually, or, it's hard to tell sometimes. So this
Yes.
is a good, easy tip.
Yes, exactly. So that's a way to sort through your fruits and vegetables, and you have to be careful.
Okay, so we know that conventional food is radiated, has pesticides and herbicides. And then can you talk a little bit about GMOs or genetically modified organisms? Because I think there's a lot of
Yes.
confusion and lack of knowledge about that.
Exactly. Genetically modified, I have no idea if this has been genetically modified, this conventional, because conventional food can be a GMO. Our highest crops that are genetically modified in the United States are corn, canola, soy, and cotton.
Okay.
All of those oils make up vegetable oil.
Even cotton seed oil, which
Yes.
is amazing to me.
Yes. And where the allergic processes come in, because the body cannot recognize genetically modified. The genetically modified, like the BT corn, it's called BT. The BT bacteria, the company that manufactures it realized that that the BT bacteria that lives in the ground actually doesn't die when Roundup, the herbicide Roundup is sprayed onto it. That bacteria stays living. So they have injected it into the DNA of the crop to genetically modify so that Roundup can be sprayed onto the crop and it will wipe out weeds, but the crop doesn't die. So then that's into the crop. And the sun does dissipate some of the chemicals on it, but what happens is the chemical that's been injected into the DNA is so much more powerful than the actual bacteria, or the bacteria that's injected into it is way, way higher percentages than what's actually in the soil.
So even
And so we're
regardless of how
ingesting
much
it.
you wash it, it's like you're just getting
it's
it
the
anyway.
DNA. It
Yeah.
is the DNA of the food. And the body cannot recognize it. So Jeffrey Smith's book, Seeds of Deception, seriously, if you want to understand it is a process to understand genetically modified, because it is a scientific method, how they have gone in and mutated the DNA, which then there are these mutated genes within the food that are making proteins that aren't in the original food.
Right.
These foreign proteins are then in our body. The body can't recognize them. The inflammatory processes start, and then we start having all these inflammatory issues.
Okay, so they create inflammation. That I wasn't aware of that.
Right. Anything foreign coming into the body that the body cannot recognize definitely is a foreign invader, and the body is
Attacks it basically.
right. Exactly. So, I guess it's kind of a sick thing, but it's job security for me, because digestive issues are out of control. And so helping to get on the other side of the digestive issues, but one huge thing that has to happen is pay attention to the food.
Right. Oh,
Pay
of course.
attention to the food that you're putting into your body. If your body can't recognize it as food, it can't use it to actually build the proteins, the building blocks to actually build a healthy person. And I know I went through it because I was very busy. I was working 16 hours a day as a photographer. I did quick. I did easy. I didn't have time to cook. The price that cost me is very large.
Right.
Huge.
One other point I wanted to make about GMOs, because it took me a little while to get this, is that the reason they've genetically modified is to add more pesticides in the plant, or herbicides in the plant won't die. So essentially, if you're getting genetically modified, not only is it bad because it's sort of mutated and your body doesn't recognize it, but you're also automatically getting pesticide or more pesticide.
Exactly.
So I think that's important for
Exactly.
people to understand, especially when GMO crops like corn and soy are in so many other kinds
Right.
of processed food.
Right. Violating foods to
Yes,
avoid
Yes. What are the big ones that people should avoid?
corn chips.
Okay. I love
Corn chips that are not organic. You can eat corn chips, make sure that they are organic.
Okay.
It will be from an organic corn, okay? Now, in corn, though, popcorn is not genetically modified.
Oh.
So it's the food corn. It's the corn that they're making the corn oil, or the oil that they're using in vegetable oil, the corn that they're using for corn chips, because they're not using popcorn. They're using, the corn for like mass production kind of corn. High fructose corn syrup, run. Run with
It's bad for your blood sugar, and it's bad in other ways too. Okay. All right.
Yeah, that's like a whole nother topic. So definitely anything soy that is not certified organic should be avoided, because your body, the allergies that people are coming up with from soy, generally you could be tested, and if you're tested for genetically modified soy and you're tested with organic soy, chances are you won't be allergic to the organic.
Oh, I wonder, because I was a
Yes.
vegetarian for 5 years, and I really reacted
Yeah.
when they did the allergy testing. So, but
Yes.
I don't know which one it was. That's interesting.
Yes, so you'd want to request to be tested for both if you are consuming soy. But
Okay.
I just say go on the safe side, just eat organic. Eat the organic food, because it's not worth the compromise. Because if you're buying cheap food, it's going to cost you in your health. It will cost you in your health in the long run. The USDA does not require genetically modified to be labeled on your food labeling. That is not required. So
You don't really
You
know.
have-
The only way you really know is if it's a crop that you know is not
Exactly.
genetically modified in general.
in general,
Okay.
if it's organic, you're good.
Right.
If you go to a restaurant, request or ask, what do they cook in? Do they cook in vegetable oil or do they cook in olive oil? And just ask them to make it with olive oil, and they will. They will.
That's one thing that I think is really important for people to understand, is that essentially we're voting with our dollars
We are.
every day. So at
We
the
are.
grocery store, at restaurants, and sometimes even just asking a restaurant will make them
Right.
start thinking about, oh, well, maybe we should get something organic. Or,
Right.
if they get enough requests, they start to pay attention as a business. Well,
Yeah.
this is great. And I wondered if we could talk a little bit about meat and then dairy.
Dairy.
And, in terms of organic, because there's a lot of confusion around that, especially with the word natural, which is thrown around.
Right,
There's a lot of
right.
terms that can be confusing, I think.
Exactly. You definitely want to be your organic meats so that there's no antibiotics, no hormones in them. It is not required by law. They are not required to put any of that information in the labeling. Organic, though, they have standards. They have
Right.
standards they can't violate, or they lose their organic that they work so hard on.
Right.
So definitely eating clean meat, eating as raw or as close to raw as possible, because once you cook over 140 degrees, the enzymes that are naturally there to help to digest it are killed. And so, of course, you don't want to eat chicken rare,
Right.
or pork, but your beef, a good clean piece of beef, or fish, sushi, champion food. And then for your protein, if you're eating protein flesh, that's considered protein flesh. If blood has run through it, it's protein flesh. Eggs.
That
Eggs.
doesn't make it sound very appetizing.
No.
I have to admit. It's like, protein flesh. Yeah.
Or you
Okay.
have your protein that comes from produce, like your rice and beans and that
Okay.
type of thing. But eggs are very, very confusing. Eggs seem to be the really confusing
yeah.
food on the market.
Yeah.
So one thing that in the egg world, I printed off the egg world. What do you do? How do you find? What does free range mean? Okay, not lot. It really doesn't mean a lot. It's not regulated. That is not a regulated term, free range. Just know that conventional eggs, egg hens, laying hens, have, like, their wings can't spread out. They're side by side in their laying compartment. And your organic eggs, of course, are definitely higher in nutrients, and they did tests on organic eggs. And so I just want to read that real quick here,
Okay.
the tests that they did run, that the USDA says, of course, that organic eggs and conventional eggs, there's no difference. But in the organic tests that they did run, it had a third less, the organics had a third less cholesterol, a
Wow.
quarter less saturated fat, 2/3 more of your vitamin A, 2 times more of your omega-3 fatty acids, 3 times more of your vitamin E, 7 times more of beta carotene, and 4 to 6 times more vitamin D. That was in your organic eggs. Organic eggs are more expensive, but my goodness, you're getting easily absorbed nutrients, so it's actually less expensive.
Right.
Because then you aren't having to supplement.
Right.
Because you're getting the nutrients through the food and not having to supplement with, vitamins.
Synthetic
minerals,
vitamins, which your body might not even absorb.
Okay, now that's like a whole
I know,
nother
that's another
issue.
show.
Definitely be using vitamins and minerals that actually look like the herbs.
Right.
And they have the enzymes in it to actually digest them so that you can utilize them in your body. Yeah, that's a whole nother topic. So,
Yeah, I probably
Yeah.
don't have time for that today.
Yeah.
But so in terms of beef specifically, I've heard that grass-fed is important,
Yes.
is right? Because
Yes.
other than that, or well, USDA is important, the organic. But because other than that, then they're likely to be eating
corn,
corn.
genetically modified corn. They eat the corn, it gets into the tissue, we eat that tissue. So we're eating the genetically modified corn through the beef production, through the chicken production, eggs. So the conventional food is genetically modified, and corn is in massive, ginormous produced amounts. So yes, they consume it, it becomes part of them, and then if we consume the conventional, then we're getting that in our body, and it's then creating bacteria overgrowth,
Right.
literally in the intestines, which that's a big problem, and
Yeah.
that is definitely talked about in the Seeds of Deception book.
And I was really surprised, actually, because I just didn't think about this, that farm-raised salmon actually
Antibiotics.
and fed corn, GMO corn.
Yes, they are
So
fed GMO
They're
corn.
feeding salmon corn, which
Yes.
anyone who knows anything about fish
Salmon
knows
don't
that's
generally
just
eat
wrong.
corn, but yes, they definitely are. And they have a lot of antibiotics, and so,
Okay.
yeah, being very careful on your food. Yeah.
Well, this has been really
So-
fascinating. Is there anything else that you would like to mention before we finish up for today?
Well, I'm just so excited. My latest book, it's already on the New York top seller list. I am a co-author in the Off the Coast of Zanzibar. It's my story. And the chapter is titled, it's because I am deficiency leads to disease. That is my motto, and it says replenish the deficiencies, because that was what was the life transforming part of my life, was the deficiency that did lead to a breakdown in the body, but it's been rebuilt.
Wow.
And so, anyway,
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, it's amazing why and how things happen, and now you're helping heal so many other people. So I think that's wonderful.
I'm okay with it. It's all good to be here, but wow, it rocks your world. It literally rocks your world.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show. And if people want to connect with you, find out
Yes.
more information about what you do, your book, how can they do that?
Okay, you can go onto my website at Complete. I've shortened it. The name of my business is Complete Nutrition Alliance. So you can go onto my website, CompleteNA.com. And my phone number's on there, my email address is on there, so it's CompleteNA.com. Or you can always find me on Facebook, Complete Nutrition Alliance. I have a business Facebook, LinkedIn, that kind of stuff.
Fantastic.
So,
Well,
yeah.
thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure. So fun.
It's great to share this information. And I also wanted to give a big thank you to Journeys for Conscious Living for hosting. And anyone can find out more information about Healing Powers, the TV show, podcast, and everything else we do at www.healingpowers.net. Thanks for watching.